What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka All Fires. Now, it is official, the actors have gone on strike, and you can expect some coverage here at the channel when some of the dust has settled and we know exactly what's going on. There's still a lot coming out this afternoon in the wake of it officially happening, but here at the channel and over the last 6 months, I've addressed some of the criticism on Marvel Studios that has been unfair head-on for reasons that we've talked about before. But it doesn't mean that all of the criticism, especially for their Disney Plus shows, hasn't been warranted. And to be fair, even where I've enjoyed certain series, there have been several episodes that have been a lot less than in an attempt to make a quantity of Marvel exist on a platform that ultimately is not successful financially. Now, while a lot of that was a remnant of Bob Chapek, the CEO after Bob Iger retired, wanting to prioritize how much quantity they were putting out without caring about the actual product itself, now that they've brought Bob Iger back and extended his contract, breaking as of yesterday through 2026, there is a brand new initiative for how Disney is going to handle IP content like Marvel Studios, like Star Wars, and that includes rolling it way back. Bob Iger had some very, very candid things to say about Marvel Studios, and while praising the brand, made sure to make it clear that they were going to roll back the amount of content they're doing. We're breaking down this latest article and the direct quotes from CEO Bob Iger about what their plan is regarding the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel, and that's all we do. Everything from official Easter egg breakdowns, trailers, and reviews to the occasional industry insider report and everything in between. So if that sort of thing's for you, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. That will automatically enter you to win our ongoing PS5 giveaway. The next one is right around the corner and less than 2 weeks away to coincide with the finale of Secret Invasion. Again, all you got to do, be a sub, leave a comment on this video if you want, stick around to the end of the video, we get into all the giveaway stuff again there. So while you may have seen this article in Variety in a discussion directly with Bob Iger, Disney CEO, boiled down to one statement, that they're going to cut the amount of spending and the amount of projects they do for Marvel Studios and Star Wars, it was actually a lot deeper of a conversation and a lot more nuanced appraisal of what's been going on over the last 2 years, or specifically Phase 4. He started by saying this, quote, "There have been some disappointments. We would have liked some of our more recent releases to perform better," Iger said, and he's talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Quote, "It's reflective not as a problem from a personnel perspective, but I think in our zeal to basically grow our content significantly to serve mostly our streaming offerings, we ended up taxing our people way beyond, in terms of their time and their focus, way beyond where they had been. Marvel's a great example of that," Iger added. "They had not been in TV business at any significant level. Not only did they increase their movie output, but they ended up making a number of television series, and frankly, it diluted focus and attention. That is, I think, more the cause of it than anything." When addressing the poor box office surrounding things like Elemental, Luca, Turning Red, Lightyear, Elemental, he started talking about the streaming, maybe in a way you wouldn't think. Quote, "There were 3 Pixar releases in a row that went directly to streaming, and part of that is because mostly of COVID. I think that may have created an expectation in the audience that they're going to eventually be on streaming, and probably quickly. There wasn't any urgency. And then I think there was I think you have to agree that were some creative misses as well, not specifically talking about just those animated pictures, but also with Marvel." He's basically talking about the over amount of content, just the quantity over quality that Disney's been aimed at over the last 2 or 3 years. "Sequels typically worked for us, but do you need a 3rd or 4th, for instance? Or is it time for other characters? There's nothing in the way inherently off in terms of the Marvel brand," Iger added. "I think we just have to look at what characters and stories we're mining. And you look at the trajectory of Marvel over the next 5 years, you'll see a lot of newness. We're going to turn back to the Avengers franchise, but with a whole different set of Avengers." Now, I'm going to be quite frank about this. From the outside looking in, one of the things that seemed to have worked for Bob Iger as he's been running Disney, whether or not he's actually this person, is that he comes off to those around him as caring deeply about them. And in a world of cold corporate structure, that's not often the case. That's why I feel like he's had the success he's had, and up until now. It is extremely weird to hear him, though, speak this candidly, especially about what you thought was the Disney darling in Marvel Studios, as much money and billions of dollars as it's made over the last 10 years. But that's what he's hearkening back to when he says, if you look at the trajectory for Marvel, what's coming up, we're going to get back to what we used to do. focusing on the Avengers teams, and as I've said real recently, getting back to those major point of view characters that you can actually get behind, and then no matter what happens in the MCU around them, we're still rooting for them. That's what's been missing from Phase 4 from the beginning. And to be perfectly clear, in my own opinion, it's not because those characters aren't there. I think two very likely candidates would either be Simu Liu's Shang-Chi or Iman Vellani's Ms. Marvel, or maybe both. It's just that they haven't had enough screen time and enough projects to be able to develop their characters in the way that we got at the beginning of the Infinity Saga. Remember, we had Iron Man 2 before we ever had Avengers 1. Maybe we could have benefited from another Ms. Marvel project, another Shang-Chi project in between now and then. Now, what I will also say is that it's pretty clear from me, now that we can look in retrospect, that that character they might have been banking on was, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa, because from the 2015 Jonathan Hickman run of Secret Wars, we expect them to draw from, T'Challa is the main protagonist in that story and would have been a great holdover from the Infinity Saga as a character that had an all the way through line to the end of Secret Wars. Now, in absence of that character, maybe there wasn't an immediate plan to make another character take that point of view, and since then we've really starved from one character benefiting from multiple projects being run through their eyes. So when they're getting back to the Avengers, the ultimate focus is going to be back on those characters in publishing which have always driven the attention. And look, if you don't really get what I'm saying, look how much hype there was in the last week for a behind-the-scenes set photo of Hugh Jackman in a yellow Wolverine suit, okay? I saw comments like, this behind-the-scenes footage is better than some of the most recent Marvel movies, and while I don't totally agree and think that's actually a silly thing to say, I can't lie to you if I'm not going to say that I'm like very excited for that. Maybe in a way I wasn't as excited for some of the other TV shows. And I know you guys accuse me sometimes of being a shill and saying that I like everything. No, I really like Marvel. I am a super fan, and maybe sometimes in that I am biased, but I've been willing to say when things aren't good. And although I enjoyed She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel, there were certain episodes during those series that were absolutely filler, that were really poorly done, and the CGI in She-Hulk, some of it was unexcusable. I also think Marvel Studios got super lucky with Vellani and Maslany. I didn't actually realize that was going to come out like that, but now that I've said it, that sounded awesome. Iman Vellani and Tatiana Maslany both killed those roles, and if they hadn't picked the perfect actors to fill those roles, I'm not sure either of those shows would have been as good. The casting, Sarah Flynn, the crew over there, that's one thing that is almost always impeccable, and you can't fault them for that. Ultimately, guys, I think this is a good thing. Sometimes less is more, and I've been super excited for certain characters to get their own shows. Like I said, I think Ms. Marvel deserves a TV show. I think Moon Knight deserved his own TV show as well. But I also think they've chose to do things maybe in a way that didn't do the characters justice, and perhaps Moon Knight would have been better served with a 2-hour film. It would have been a lot more concise than maybe some of the filler that happened during that series. I enjoy the Marvel stuff, but I don't mind them scaling back, and if they do roll it back to 2 or 3 films a year, even if they go back to 2 and 1 or 2 TV shows, that will still be totally enough content when they're focusing on what I would think are more of the fan favorite characters. And you can still put all the other characters in there, but I mean, look, here's the point he's making. Ant-Man and the Wasp lost money. Yeah, the net total was only like minus 10 or 20 million dollars, but it still lost money because it's the 3rd installment in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and maybe the MCU would have been better served with the Shang-Chi 2 in that spot instead. There are different titles that are just going to draw more interest, and it's fine when everything is going great like the Infinity Saga. Say we're a team basically no one had ever heard of. I wouldn't even call them B tier at best. Guardians of the Galaxy in its first installment made almost $1 billion, $773.3 million to be exact. Yeah, it's all good and well when that's happening, but when something like Ant-Man and the Wasp 3 is actually not profitable and losing money, well, I was surprised that they went as long as they did in announcing another Avengers movie, considering the billions invested in it and the entire Infinity Saga. As is, if we still get Avengers 5, Kang Dynasty ? And on time, it's about 3 years off, with Secret Wars a year or 2 off of that. At that point, we'll be approaching a decade since the last Avengers movie, and if you had told me Marvel Studios was going to do that, I would have said right off the bat, doesn't seem like it's the best business decision. Guys, let me know all your thoughts down below though if you agree Ultimately, this is a good thing. Less is more, and if we're going to go back to the quality we used to have, I'm all for it. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. Okay, we're still giving away PlayStations at the channel. The next PlayStation 5 giveaway is less than 2 weeks away to coincide with the finale of Secret Invasion. So if you want to be entered to win, or for any of the other giveaways at the channel, all the same rules will always apply. Hit the subscribe button because you need to be a subscriber, then leave a comment down below, and because it's truly random, the more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will be announced at the end of videos, the same way we're doing here. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on, and as always, if you liked today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. Find me in 2 places, Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, under the name AllFires with original tunes. And while I really appreciate you supporting and listening to my music, thanks for checking the channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.